Getting a few people logging on. I'm just going to give it maybe 90 more seconds before we get started. Oh, I think it's starting to slow down a bit. I'll give it 30 more seconds.
Get some Jeopardy music.
I know, right? I can have my daughter come over here and play some of her tunes. We're still
Have Taylor
getting a
Swift
few.
playing for the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, it looks like there's a few people still joining, but I don't want to wait too much longer just to kind of be conscious of time. So I am going to get started. This is going to be recorded. So for anybody who can't make it, they can obviously download the recordings. They'll be sent out to everybody who attended or registered. So we're going to get started. So hi, everybody. Welcome back for those of you who attended last week's presentation with Dr. Hintermeister about contracts and compensation. And then for those of you who are joining us tonight for the first time, we are super excited to have you. My name is Stephanie Caverdatz, and I lead our campus and house officer team with Ethos Veterinary Health. I've been in the field of veterinary medicine for a little over 13 years now, which 3 of those years have been with Ethos. And I am really, really excited to introduce you to our company and also our brand new educational series, Careers Unleashed. So this is actually the second session of our 8-week series. Tonight's session is presented by Dr. Annie Wayne. She is a veterinary criticalist and our ER mentorship programs lead for our incredible ER mentor program. Before I pass it over to her and just kind of dive into our topic, I just wanted to share a little bit about Ethos and my team and how we can support you as you kind of nut down your next steps post-graduation. So next slide. Okay, so let's start by getting to know a little bit more about who we are and kind of highlighting some of our core focus areas. So we are a cutting edge community of specialty and ER hospitals across North America and pride ourselves on innovation and delivering world-class medicine. To give you a sense about our reach and the impact that we have across the US, we have 145 specialty and emergency hospitals spanned across 29 states in the US and Canada, and we serve over 1.4 million patients annually. So who are we, right? Like we are a community of locally operated spec and ER practices, and we are united by a shared dedication of serving pets and people when they need it the most. And, you know, our purpose and vision are at the heart of everything that we do. And although our purpose is simple, it is powerful to enrich the lives of pets and people. And this is a core value that drives all of our actions to ensure we provide the highest standard of care, while our vision to revolutionize veterinary medicine continuously just pushes the boundaries to improve our services and our outcomes. So one of the things I do want to point out is during this presentation, you are going to hear terms like innovation and world-class medicine. And I just want you to know that these are not just fancy terms that we throw around. These words truly represent the dedication of our teams of being leaders in the veterinary science space and just, you know, ensuring that we deliver the best care possible for all of our patients. So some of you may have known us formerly as NVA or NVA Compassion First. We now are proud to introduce Ethos Veterinary Health, which is a union of 4 legacy hospitals that you see there. So NVA Specialty and ER, Compassion First Pet Hospitals, Sage Veterinary Centers, and then Ethos. And so this union has kind of just allowed us to combine our resources and our expertise and just, enables us to better serve the communities and just elevate the standard of care that we're able to provide. So before I dive into our training programs, I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to our dedicated campus and house officer team that you see here. Our internal focus is overseen by Emily Lindholm. She is not on the call tonight, but that is her lovely face. And she is responsible for anything directly related to an Ethos hospital that currently has an intern or resident training program. And then our external focus is our campus engagement strategy, and that is overseen by Megan Nolan and Brittany Kirkconnell. And then this next slide is just a great visual to see which one of our campus reps that you can expect to see on campus this fall. So feel free to snap a picture or save it for reference if you'd like. We are super excited to meet all of you and just talk about the opportunities that we have at Ethos. So for most of the schools listed here, you can expect to see one of us or one of our doctor ambassadors at least 2, maybe 3 times a year. And then we attend lunch and learns, career fairs, and then we also host off-site social events like axe throwing, paint your pet nights, brewery trivia nights, lots of fun other outings. We also take suggestions, so feel free to shoot us an email. We are not from there. I'm from South Florida, Brittany's from Northern Florida, Megan is from Atlanta. So we are always looking for recommendations. So just shoot us an email. I think, Brittany, if you wouldn't mind throwing our campus@ethosvet.com email in the chat for them, that would be great. And then we hope to see you at least at one of these events, but please stop by and, come say hi to us if you see us on campus floating around. And then the next big question, right? How do we revolutionize veterinary medicine? And so in order to do that, we just, we invested heavily in ongoing research through clinical trials and through our Discovery Incubator, which aims to address unmet diagnostic needs and therapeutic needs. So at Ethos, we place a strong emphasis on mentorship, evidence-based education in all of our programs. And then what that means is that you are always going to be kind of partnered up with an experienced team member to kind of guide and support you both professionally and personally. And so, as mentioned earlier, science and discovery, they are at the forefront of everything that we do. So we are revolutionizing veterinary medicine through research and evidence-based practices. So our Ethos Discovery program addresses unmet clinical needs and provides improved diagnostic treatment options. And then through Discovery, we're able to provide our doctors with opportunities to practice cutting-edge medicine while our patients have access to novel diagnostics that they maybe, necessarily wouldn't have had if we didn't have this partnership. And so it just kind of ensures the best possible care. And then also Ethos Discovery provides mentorship and research opportunities for our doctors and our house officers. So it, has the sense of fostering growth and development within the field overall. And then on the right of the slide, we have our veterinary science consultancy, so VSC, and that just serves various industry partners like pharma and biotech. And then essentially these companies hire VSC to design and conduct clinical trials on their products within our own Ethos practices. So this just provides opportunities for our hospitals to offer these therapies and treatments that would maybe not necessarily be available outside their network. And so, through these programs, we like to just say that we are truly transforming veterinary medicine within research and evidence-based practices. So this slide, this is a fun slide for me. You often hear the words externships, mentorships, and internships thrown around a lot in vet med, but what's the difference between them? And so this is a fun snapshot of like the 4 various ships programs available within Ethos, plus a little bit about residencies. And so each of these programs cater to a different stage in your veterinary career and just provide some structured pathways for development. So first up, we have our externship program, which is designed specifically for veterinary students. It is offered year-round, and it just kind of gives students practical, real-life, hands-on experience, and is an awesome opportunity to just kind of get exposure into the veterinary practice early on in your education. And then next, we have our mentorship training program, specifically the ERimmerse program led by Dr. Annie Wayne. This is our featured topic for tonight, so I will not steal her thunder, but I just wanted to mention it, at least just because it is on the slide. And then next up, we have our 3 training programs are offered for our house officers. So once you've completed vet school and then passed the NAVLE, and if you're considering advancing your career in either emergency medicine or veterinary or specialty medicine, or if you just simply want to, get a full year of real life clinical experience before diving into the world of GP, this is kind of where you would fit in. And so we have a rotating internship program, which is a 1-year structured training program, and it just involves rotations across various departments. And we currently have about 1,200 rotating interns each year, and these programs typically begin every June. And then the next level after that is a specialty internship program, which is also a 1-year formal training program. Approximately 400 specialty interns are out there every year. And then this program begins in July. And then finally, for those of you who are interested in becoming a board certified diplomate, we do have our residency programs. Typically, this is a 3-year formal training program, and it does lead to diplomate status in a specific specialty, and it starts in July as well. And it's just designed for those, like I said, who are aiming to become board certified specialists. This slide, you'll probably see this slide a few times tonight. I'm just going to do a quick snapshot. It is just a culmination of all of the mentorship programs offered at Ethos specifically. I know it's a lot. I'm not going to go through it in detail on my end, but I just wanted to include it to kind of give you all just a quick overview. All of our programs are designed to support both nursing and DVM students as well as practicing DVMs. So for the DVM students like yourselves, we do offer externships, like I said, specifically tailored for 3rd and 4th year vet students. If you do want to learn more about our externships, we do have a session, I believe it's on August 27th, with Dr. Michelle Magdalene. So make sure you sign up for that if you want to learn more about them. And then for new grads, we have several career pathways to choose from, including rotating internships, the ERimmerse, and then we have an ERABVP guided path. And then all of these programs, again, they just structure, they have structured experiences across various departments, and it just provides comprehensive year-long training. This slide is all about our externships at Ethos. We offer over 60 opportunities across our network, giving you the chance to kind of apply your classroom knowledge with real-world setting. So within our externship programs, you'll gain experience observing patient intakes, client communications, medical case management. And then as part of the Ethos community of hospitals, you'll also be working really closely with experienced clinicians. And then the scope of your work is essentially tailored to your interest and skills, along with the guidance of your mentoring doctor. And so some of the key benefits of our externships include extern gifts. So once you complete an externship with one of our hospitals, you will receive like an exit offboarding survey. And then it has a link to a gift. So if you complete the survey, then you get some fun gifts mailed to your house. And then, like I said, you get the chance to work alongside experienced clinicians. You build relationships within hospitals. So it kind of, opens the doors for, future employment opportunities. And then you do get to practice in that, the multi-specialty hospital setting. And so all of our externship programs are supported by our clinical L&D team. And, we believe that these programs are super important and a fantastic way to get hands-on experience and, starting to build your professional network early on. And then if specialty medicine is what interests you and you are probably thinking about an internship or residency program after graduation, some of you may be torn between private practice and academic programs. And so our training programs really do offer the best of both worlds. And so we combine the efficiency and the caseload of, what a typical private practice setting would look like, but we also offer the support for education and research and professional development that's typically found in academia. So this is something that we are very proud of, and we will continue to expand on, just to differentiate ourselves in the field of veterinary medicine. And then before I continue, I did want to point out we do have a QR code in the bottom right of your screen. So for anybody who does want to learn more about our internship and residency opportunities, that code will take you to a landing page, and then you can see some of the open positions we had last year. And then once the IRMP opens up this October, we'll go in and we'll update them for the upcoming cycle. Ooh, sorry. And then as an Ethos House officer, some of the things that you'll receive access to is, we have veterinary journals, so it'll keep you updated with the latest research. You have a dedicated house officer support team available to guide you. And then additionally, Ethos Discovery backs house officer led research projects. So it does offer a lot of opportunities for you to contribute to meaningful studies within your field. And then if you do want to end up learning more about internship and residency programs, we do have a couple of sessions coming up. I know Annie's going to touch base on them, but look out for that information. I believe it's on August 13th and August 20th. And then this slide is one of my favorites because it provides a fun visual representation of our extensive network across North America. And so as you can see, we do have a diverse range of hospitals spread across various regions. And I'm sure many of you recognize some of these logos. Together, these hospitals have a significant impact on their local community. And we are just so proud to have them a part of our network. So if any of these hospitals look familiar to you, or if you've worked with them, or you did an externship, or you teched there in undergrad, we'd love for you to throw some names in the chat. And we'd like to see where you've been spending your time. And then while you guys are all doing that, I am going to pass it over to Dr. Annie Wayne, and she is going to introduce herself and go over tonight's topic, Introduction to ERimmerse.
Thanks, Stephanie, for that awesome overview of kind of who Ethos is. Really excited to be here with you all, even though this is well past my bedtime. I'm on the East Coast time, and definitely a morning person, not an evening person. As Stephanie said, I lead our mentorships program. I lead the ERimmerse program. A little bit more about me. Like I said, I live in the New England area near Boston. I went to undergrad at Tufts, and then I actually teched for a couple of years at Angel before I went to vet school, also at Tufts. And I did a dual degree DVM MPH program. And then when I finished that, I went back to Angel and did an internship and my emergency and critical care residency. As a resident, I had my son. I have 3 kids now. They're pictured there. Bottom left, they're 10, 7, 5. We also have 2 crazy dogs who are in the middle there. So our household is a little nuts, just kind of like my day job. When I finished my residency, I went back to Tufts, and I was on the faculty there for 5 years. And while I was there, I did research on antimicrobial stewardship, taught the communications course, and really kind of learned about what mentorship and teaching could be all about, and really kind of grew to love that. And then an opportunity to help Ethos develop their training programs popped up, and I've been here for 3 years now. I was at MassVet for the last 2 years, and then in the last 9 months to a year, I've been supporting the national network training programs. And so for me, I think, what motivates me in this role is the excitement and the sort of watching new grads go from being students to being veterinarians. I think that transition is So crucial to sort of how your career and how your identity forms, and watching people grow in that position is just so rewarding and exciting. And there's so many highs and so many lows, and every interaction is an opportunity to learn. So for me, that's really motivating. And in my role now, I get to kind of have a lot of touch points with the whole network and really supporting our mentors to be able to do the best job they can in the hospitals. And so that's really rewarding for me. Um, busy personal and professional life, as you can see from the pictures. Next slide, Stephanie. Thanks. So Stephanie introduced this slide. I just wanted to circle back and highlight a few things. This really gives an overview of how Ethos thinks about mentorship programs overall, um, and that there's some themes that really run through all of our programming, including our nursing and support staff, through to DVM students and all the way through training programs. And then really thinking about, once you are through your training programs, what does additional support look like beyond that as well? And so, kind of the themes that we really think about are the two big ones that I really want to bring up are mentorship. What does that actually mean? We're going to kind of dive into what does that mean for Ethos. It's not a buzzword, it's something that we really live up to and strive to make sure that each of our hospitals, each of our trainees, each of our programs is really living up to that definition. And then competency-based training is throughout a lot of our training programs. And I think Ethos, when I left academia to come to Ethos, I was really excited about the things Ethos was doing in the training space and also in the research space. And they really have dedicated so many resources. We have a whole team that supports our programs. Medical-based and support teams, as well as sort of LMS, learning management systems, and education experts that are all sort of helping guide the development of these programs. And Ethos is really kind of on the leading edge of what we're doing in competency-based training and assessments in veterinary medicine. So that's really exciting to be part of. So those are the things I kind of wanted to highlight from this slide. I know it's a lot to take in, but I think those are the things that we spend sort of our day in, day out really thinking about and really trying to make sure that we're really delivering on those things. Next slide. So ERimmerse, what is ERimmerse? It is our mentorship program for new graduates or veterinarians looking to transition into ER medicine from somewhere else. GP, equine, urgent care. We've had people transition from all of those places into our ERimmerse program. The majority of people in our program are new graduates. And so really what we want to do is provide foundational training for the emergency room. And we'll go into some details about how we think about that program. But again, it's sort of competency, evidence-based program. The other thing is each hospital is able to kind of tailor it to what works at their hospital. And so that allows you all to find the program that's right for you. So the program length varies a bit, the hospital type and setting varies a bit, whether you spend time with other specialists, what specialists are there in the hospital, how the ER functions day to day. Those all vary a bit. I see a question in the chat about Canada. Yes, we have ERimmerse programming in Canada as well. So if you're interested in that specifically, you can reach out to us and we can connect you with those details. So just to kind of zoom out a little bit of what is a mentorship program, and then we can dive into the details of how ERimmerse kind of thinks about mentorship specifically. So as Stephanie kind of laid out really nicely, the sort of options for you all as you're thinking about next steps after you graduate are, you can go directly into practice. I think most new grads feel like they want some additional support in a more structured program when they graduate. Internships are sort of the traditional option. And now there's a lot of these mentorship programs. So what does that mean? It's an alternative to internship. or just going into practice on your own as a next career step. It kind of bridges the gap between how you are taught in school and what you know in school to really master that clinical competency to be able to provide patient care. And the other big thing is there's just sort of a lot of professional growth that goes into that transition beyond sort of the medicine and understanding the medicine. And so having the support for professional growth and client communication, being a leader on the floor, managing your team, time management, um, resiliency, all of those things, we really think about really carefully in our program. Um, from our perspective, why mentorships as opposed to internships? Usually for a mentorship, it's a long-term hire. So it's a mutual investment. You're investing in the hospital, the company that you're working for, and they're investing in your growth, and sort of everybody's interests are kind of aligned in that way. Mentorship can take many forms. So, as you're thinking about what your next steps are, really think about what are the things that you are going to need and want in your transition, and really ask, in your interviews, take the opportunity to do externships to really understand what is the mentorship program at that company, at that hospital, with that particular mentor. What does that look like? And what is the structure? How formal or informal is that? So you can find the best fit for you. Next slide. So at Ethos, what do we think, how do we define mentorship? And how do we go a step beyond sort of having this be a buzzword? So for us, we define it as an experienced team member guiding and supporting colleagues in both their professional and personal development. And we really think about this as a reciprocal relationship. So mentors, and mentees are sort of in this reciprocal, sorry, my dog is just coming in. Um, Reciprocal relationship where the mentees, the expectation is that mentees are putting a lot into this relationship as well, and you really will get what you put in. So the more that you put into building that relationship, taking initiative to figure out what it is you need, and sort of guiding that relationship so that your mentor can be able to give you the kind of guidance that you need, the more you're going to sort of get out of that relationship in those first critical months out of school. For ERimmerse, we really specifically define this as you have an individual relationship with at least one ER clinician who's going to touch base with you both on the floor and off the floor, and really is going to foster that relationship to discuss those professional and personal topics to really help you grow and help you navigate that transition from being a student to being a doctor. So the other key piece of this is kind of competency-based training. And I know a lot of the veterinary schools are talking about competency-based education and moving to that model. So just want to make sure we're all on the same page and sort of understanding what does that mean, and then how are we doing that for our program, for ERimmerse, and for Ethos more broadly. So competency-based training is really the idea that assessment, feedback, self-reflection is based on demonstration of knowledge, attitudes, behavior, self-perceptions, and skills expected of professionals. So sort of the traditional model of apprenticeship where you are sort of dropped into a practice, you learn as you go, you kind of figure it out. There might be somebody helping you along the way, but there's not a lot of structure in terms of expectations of what is it that you are supposed to be achieving? What does it look like to be a competent, excellent clinician in both the medical and professional domains? And so that's really evolved a lot. And we are taking that really seriously in terms of how we're setting up our programs and the didactic supports that we're providing on a national scale to all of our hospitals. The entrustable professional activities, the competencies, and the milestones are kind of how these things are broken down and how we actually set up the programs. And so that's like, how do we define what a competency is? How do we define how you demonstrate that you are competent in that? Next slide. So this just kind of fits it all together in one picture to really say there's sort of these domains of competency. So this might be like anesthesia, communication, and then within that there might be a specific competency. So within anesthesia, it might be, you know, how do you perform those actual tasks? How do you assess a patient under anesthesia? How do you troubleshoot anesthetic risks that may happen? And then the milestones are really describe kind of these different stages that you might be in. So as a new grad, you're probably in the developing stage for most of these. By the time you've completed a mentorship program or an internship program, hopefully you're in the emerging for a lot of these and proficient in some of them. And I think acknowledging that, even when you finish a year long or a 6 month long additional training period, you're still going to have a lot of growth. And that's hopefully going to continue throughout your career, but certainly, in the first 6 months to a year, there's still a lot to learn. Oh, there's some connections there. Okay, so what does this
Sorry,
mean
I
for,
didn't
that's
make the
okay.
connections
No,
for
that's
you.
okay. I forgot they were there. What does this mean specifically for ERimmerse and Ethos? So we have based this again, evidence-based, competency-based. So the evidence is an article that was published by our Ethos team where they interviewed criticalists and ER doctors, not just in our network, but throughout the country to determine what are the essential skills for emergency doctors. And that was published in JVEC. The link is there. The information for the paper is there if you want to look that up. And so we took that and we took those competencies that are published and used that to create our framework. And that is kind of what are the skills that we want to make sure that all of the people in our ERimmerse program get. This is kind of the baseline. And then we use that to create our content, which is delivered through asynchronous learning. And I'll show you some of those samples. And they're not people sort of in the standard, standing there giving an hour of CE lecture. They're content that's meant to be on the go, meaning you can sort of dip in and dip out. They're short little buckets of learning. They're easy to do on the floor, and they're interactive. And then from that, we've developed an assessment feedback tool that maps back to our competencies. Again, so this is really clear for our mentees and our mentors about what is the goal for our trainees in their training program. How can we make sure that we're giving them feedback throughout the program so that they can continue to develop and target where they need to develop, and everybody's on the same page about where are the skills that they're doing really well in, where are the skills that we still need to work on. And then that can also continue after the training program. So that can sort of travel with you throughout your kind of development in your early career. Next slide. So how do we actually deliver this? So we partner with VetBloom, which is our learning management system, and to have our asynchronous learning modules. And I'll show you some examples of what those look like in the next couple slides. But these are organized by month. So because we have rolling admissions, so you could start, many of our new grads start in the summer, so in July. So that would be your month one, and there's sort of your required learning, some additional learning that you can have, and then resources, and it's organized by that. You can also drop in by category. So if you see a respiratory distress, heart failure animal, and you want to review that, you can drop in and do that one, and then it will be complete when you get to that month. So the content is there, it's very curated, it's sort of set out for you, and it maps back to those essential competencies. And then we have live interactive virtual weekly rounds that the sort of whole network is logging into for all of our trainees. And again, these are on sort of essential topics, and they're both medical and professional topics. They are sort of PowerPoint, but they're really interactive. And so there are questions embedded throughout. They're case-based, really clinical learning to again, not have somebody kind of talking at you, but to really engage with the questions that you have and what you're seeing on the clinic floor to help enhance the learning that you have. And then, of course, your in-clinic mentorship, where you're partnered with your hospital-specific mentor team on the floor, and then also meeting with them off the floor. And again, in my role, sort of, I support those mentors. We provide connections for them to other mentors in the network and also specific training about how to enhance their mentorship on the floor and sort of their programs and recognizing that being a good mentor is a different skill set than being a good clinician, and that those are skills that we can really build. So just to give you a snapshot, these are our live rounds. Stephanie, I think if you hit play, it will kind of walk us through. There we go. Just make sure the sound on that one is off, otherwise there'll be background noise. So this gives you kind of a snapshot as to the medical topics and the professional topics that we cover in our rounds. And then our internship programs continue to have some live round touch points as well. They're not quite as frequently as every week, but they do continue to happen.
Sorry, for some reason it's not letting me hit play.
That's okay. We can go to the next slide, hopefully the next.
But we do have a question in the chat while
Oh,
we have
sure.
this pause. So, how long is the mentorship at Ethos, and can it be extended if a student is not where they want to be in regards to the training or not feeling competent enough to handle certain emergency situations on their own?
Yeah, great question. So again, this varies a little bit by hospital. So some hospitals have kind of a set program. No every hospital wants you to succeed, and everyone has the same goal for you to be successful in the emergency room. So if there are things that you still feel like you need support on, our hospitals are going to support you in that. Kind of whether your official mentorship ends at a certain point or if there's flexibility is a little bit hospital specific, but either way, you're going to continue to have support. And we have an additional program that we've just launched called ER Support that is sort of meant to help people who've just finished the sort of structured support program and sort of want some additional touch points where we meet once a week for rounds that's entirely participant driven. So you just bring cases that you want to discuss more. It's facilitated by a specialist. And then we also continue to give you access to all of your asynchronous learning online. So there are other ways that the national programming and then your in-hospital will support you as well. Thanks for that question.
Perfect.
We can go to the next slide. Yeah, if it worked. There we go. So I wanted to call out our professional rounds. We partner with our community team. So community team, I think, is another really unique way that Ethos is really investing in resources and not just talking about some of these buzzwords in the profession right now. So our community team is a specific group that is responsible for supporting all of our people and sort of promoting a healthy culture. And they do that through a variety of ways. One is supporting our training program. So we partner with them to deliver our professional training and to help facilitate those sessions and also to provide asynchronous learning that complements that. But community team also goes into hospitals and works specifically with hospitals and departments to improve culture, to help them identify what things they want to improve and how they can get there. They sort of help our hospital leadership make sure that their vision is aligned with what's happening in the hospital and how to continue to evolve that. And then they offer a whole suite of products to help personal growth. So we have well-being retreats that happen, I think almost every month. There's one that's offered and that's open to the Ethos community. And then they offer ongoing CE, a whole range of different topics talking about perfectionism, talking about burnout, talking about how to have good boundaries. There's a whole range of opportunities. So I think everyone who works with the community team feels like they're so awesome and they're such a huge value add. And I think it's just another way in which Ethos is really demonstrating their investment in resources and in really delivering on growing our culture and supporting our people. Okay, so hopefully, can we try to play this? This is one of our on-the-go learning modules that shows you just an example of kind of the interactive type of learning that we have. And so this will give you kind of an overview. This one's orthopedic disease in the ER, so it gives you kind of an overview. There's questions embedded throughout that you need to complete. And there are different ways that you sort of interact with the material as you go through. So very little of our content is sort of lecture based. And this is one format that we use in throughout our learning for the ERimmerse program. And there's some videos. So this is a video of somebody demonstrating a lameness exam in the ortho module. So hopefully that gives you kind of a flavor of one of the types of modules. And then the next slide, we can go to the next one. I think you get the idea. So this is one of our other types of learning modules where there's a topic, and this is kind of the questions are meant to teach you in addition to the sort of overview material. Can you try to hit the video and see if it will work? Perfect. Hopefully. So basically, if it will work, it's going to show you there's kind of an overview of material. So there'll be kind of an introduction of the topic. And then there'll be questions, true, false questions that again kind of reinforce the topics and also teach you throughout. And they give you feedback if you get an incorrect answer. If you get enough correct, then it will unlock the next level. And then again, there'll be some information and then additional questions. It's not working, Steph.
No.
That's okay. So this just gives you a flavor of the types of interactive learning modules that we have throughout the program. So I've kind of given you an overview of kind of what ERimmerse looks like and how we think about mentorship and competency-based training at Ethos. And I just wanted to circle back to kind of highlight what are the differences between mentorship programs and internship programs, and specifically how we're thinking about that at Ethos. So our ER mentorship program at Ethos is ERimmerse. Again, we have our national competency and evidence-based curriculum that supports what's happening in the hospital. And really the goal of our national curriculum and didactic program is to allow the hospitals to really be able to focus on that in-clinic mentorship and then also tailor what additional didactic learning that they have for their hospital and their program to set you up for success long-term. Again, we really think carefully about mentor training and support and mentorship skills as being separate from being a good clinician, and really recognizing that and offering opportunities and ways for our mentors to sort of skill up in those places. We do have rolling start dates, so that is flexible depending on what works for you. It really is hospital specific. So Stephanie mentioned our externship opportunities. That's really the best way to get into the hospital, get a feel of what is the day-to-day in that hospital like, what are the clinicians there, what is the team vibe, and also for them to get to know you to see if you're really a good fit for them long-term as well. And if you aren't able to do externships, to be able to visit or at least talk to current or past people who've been through the program. So again, you can really understand, if it meets the things that are really important to you and if it's going to be a good long-term fit. ERimmerse, we really are looking to hire ER veterinarians for a long-term fit. And we really think of it as a mutual investment. So you're investing in us and we're investing in you. And we both really want to have you stay for a long time and be a resilient and successful ER veterinarian. The mentorship is going to offer full pay and benefits. So typically, mentorship programs are going to have more competitive pay and be treated more like a full-time employee as opposed to an internship, where you're employed for a one-year training program. And that looks a little bit different because sort of the mutual investment, cost benefit is a little bit different. And again, for our ERimmerse, we partner with our community team and really want to think about mental fitness, long-term growth and fit. Internships, we do have some of our internship programs that are opting into our national ERimmerse program where they do the same content that we have for ERimmerse for this first 6 months and then have additional content in their second 6 months. That is a little bit hospital specific, whether they're opting into that. We expect that that will grow over the next year or so. We have the mentor training and support is really the same for mentors throughout all of our programs. And so those are all, we're connecting people across programs. So that's really similar. Internships are typically 1 year, and you're typically sort of either going through VRMP or signing with that hospital for a 1 year training program. And it's not sort of that long-term matching that we have. We also are really excited to, have people who go into internships at Ethos and then stay within our network for residencies. And Stephanie's team and some of our other team members, if that is a path that you want to go down, can help connect you and make sure that you know what all the opportunities are. And we do have stipend opportunities for interns going into residency. Again, there's a lot of hospital specific differences. So kind of figuring out which hospital is going to be the right fit is important.
Annie,
I see that, yeah,
oh, I was going to say there was a question before I move on.
yeah,
Is there a list of hospitals that they can have access to? Where should we
yeah.
direct them?
Yeah, so the campus email is the best way to do that right now. We are just collecting all of the information centrally about which hospitals are going to be hiring for ERimmerse for next year. And we'll have that sort of out publicly by IVEX, which is the beginning of September. So if there's a hospital that you're really interested in, definitely send us an email and let us know which ones you're interested in. We may know already, or it may be a couple weeks before we have that information for next year.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight a couple additional uh, programs that we have through the Careers Unleashed that specifically talk about internship and the VRIMP, if that's something that you're interested in. And so Gareth Buckley, who we all work very closely with, supports our internships and residency programs, and he'll be kind of talking about internships paths and specifically how to go through VERP and all the specifics around that. And that date is August 13th. And then Stephanie and Emily will be kind of giving you some Ethos Hospital specific program highlights for internship opportunities, and that will be August 20th. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely log into those sessions.
We do have one more question, Annie.
Oh, yeah.
What is the process for matching with a mentor in ERimmerse?
Yeah, so it's basically each hospital is going to have sort of a program administrator. So most commonly, that's going to be an ER doctor or a criticalist who kind of runs the program, runs the logistics, coordinates with the other on the floor mentors. Usually that's the person that you kind of are meeting with off the floor, but not always. And then usually there's at least a couple mentors on the floor that sort of support that as well, that you're kind of working day to day with as you're seeing cases. So each hospital has sort of a different process of whether you have one specific person in the ER that is your kind of like mentor. Most of the hospitals you're going to work with more than one person on the floor, which gives you sort of, sometimes I think it's frustrating as a new grad to like have a lot of people do things different ways. But I think overall it's good for developing, kind of figuring out like what's your style, to get exposed to different things. So it's a little bit hospital specific in terms of exactly how you're matched, but it's within your hospital, you are matched with that mentor. So again, that's why it's really important, to kind of understand like what Ethos as a network is offering to support the programs, but then really understanding the specific hospital that you want to go to. What does it look like there? So again, I just really want to highlight externships. If there's a hospital that you're really interested in, externships are sort of the best way to kind of understand, is this a good fit? And that would allow you to kind of meet the potential mentors, start developing a relationship, and again, figuring out if it's a good fit for you. So I really encourage you to, sort of as you're figuring out where you want to be, sort of think strategically about where it makes sense to do an externship, and then reach out to us and let us help you figure out how we can support that, how we can help you find a match that might be, a match with your interests, or an opportunity that you maybe hadn't thought about.
And I do want to just point out that it is also a great opportunity to start building relationships with clinicians, because if you are going to go on to any sort of formal training and internships and residencies, you're going to need letters of recommendations, and so you really just want to start to kind of build your repository of references. And so this is a good way to kind of get out there and have that experience with them prior to your first few months on the floor as an actual intern or mentee.
Yeah, great point. So again, we'll have more of that specific information, on our website, in the fall. But if there's something you're specifically interested in now, definitely shoot us an email. We'd love to connect with you, on any specifics that you have about hospitals. And that's for externships or, mentorship internship programs. Um, so there's again we have a whole talk, with Matt Booth about ABVP, but I did just want to mention this because I think again it's something really unique that we're doing at Ethos, and thinking about how can we support ER doctors having, productive, resilient, long-term careers, and what are the opportunities for you to continue to grow after an ERimmerse type program. Um, and ABVP is sort of, another opportunity to, get board certification, diplomat status without a formal residency program. And so this is a, diplomat for a generalist. And this allows you sort of ERimmerse. A lot of our, on-the-go learning will count toward ABVP if you decide to do that. And this is just another way that you can continue to sort of have a structure, have sort of a network of people, have an additional goal. I think for, a lot of veterinarians, once you get out of school, it's the first time that you don't have like the next goal sort of set out for you. And that can be a little unsettling, and destabilizing for people. And so this is just another way to sort of have an additional structure, have some more, ways that you can continue to learn and be part of this community. And so ABVP is a structured 36-month program, that ERMRS graduates can sort of go right into. Also, if you do an internship and decide not to do residency path and want to go into ER, or even GP, ABVP is potentially another great option. So I think the next slide has the info for Matt's talk. So Matt Booth, is another one of our colleagues who supports, the ABVP program, and he'll be talking, next Tuesday, about ABVP. So if you want to know more information about what that looks like and how that all works, that would be a great talk to go to. And then also to highlight, we'll have an alumni, panel, in a couple weeks, and Stephanie and I will be facilitating that. But that's a great way to hear directly from people who've been through our programs, about what that looks like on the floor, and to be able to ask them questions. If you start with ERimmerse in July, can I start ERABVP that December of that same year? Yes, that's exactly how it's designed. And so we're hoping that we're going to have sort of our first cohort that finished ERimmerse, our national program, started this July. And so they'll be finishing in December, and that could go straight into ERABVP, and that will be the kickoff of the hybrid program. So I'd be happy to take any other questions that people have, either in the chat or I don't know if they can come off mute and just ask questions.
I'm not sure if they can come off mute because of the webinar settings. I don't know if there's any more questions.
Do you guys have anything else to add of stuff that I would have highlighted?
No. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Great. Thanks everyone for being here. Don't hesitate to reach out if there's other questions or ways that we can help connect you in the network.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.